This is another sign of the times, an analysis and a commentary. Is the United States economy stuck in the mud? Federal Reserve policymakers seem resigned to the fact that the plodding U.S. economy may be out of reach to change. After a two-day meeting, Fed Chairman Ben Bernanke told Congress that there are too few options to speed up an economy that may be stuck in the mud. The problem is the things that are holding back the economy, the uncertainty about tax rates next year, the problems in Europe, and the problems in Asia are absolutely nothing that U.S. monetary policy can address with the tools it's got left. John Riding, chief economist at RDQ Economics, said, central bankers are giving thought to the option of buying more long-term bonds to keep interest rates low. And while growth has slowed sharply from a surge late last year, the expansion continues to crawl along at a lethargic 1.5% annual pace. The slow growth avoids the technical definition of recession, but the snail-like pace of hiring makes it feel like a downturn for the 12.7 million American workers without work. Some experts fear the economy may be permanently stuck in slow growth mode. Yes, this time it's different. There's never been times like these before, and there'll never be times like these again. We do think we've seen more permanent changes in the economy as a result of this recession. Michelle Meyer, an economist at Bank of America Merrill Lynch, said, "We estimate potential growth to be at about 2.25%, whereas back in 2005 we were saying it was about 3.5%. The numbers of Americans who have left the workforce include many older workers who are gone for good. The pace of growth will be held back as long as an aging baby boom population continues to leave the workforce and cut back on spending. People in the United States who are working feel little job security. People aren't necessarily panicked to lose their job, but they're not really confident enough to borrow a lot and spend a lot. We're expansionary at a subpar pace. We're not going into a recession, but sure aren't going into a boom either." Some say it may be a long while before U.S. consumers begin spending again at levels usually expected in a recovery. This far into the previous 5 recoveries, the economy was expanding at an average pace of 4.4%, twice the current average. The biggest single missing growth component is consumer spending. In lieu of a sudden uptick in new hiring, consumers aren't likely to resume spending at historical levels, especially as households continue to work off a surge in credit card and mortgage debt that preceded the financial collapse of 2008. Retail sales have also fallen for 3 months in a row, and U.S. employers added 163,000 jobs in July, the Labor Department has reported. That was more than twice the job growth in the previous month, and substantially more than Wall Street analysts had forecast. Even so, hiring was not strong enough to shrink the army of the unemployed in the slightest. The underlying tales of the report, however, ranged from unimpressive to outright discouraging, and July's jobless rate ticked up slightly to 8.3%, about the same as it has been all year. A broader measure of unemployment, including part-time workers who want full-time jobs and people who have given up looking for work, rose to 15%. In other words, even the job market is stuck in the mud. Yes, this time it's different. And this too is another sign of the end of times as we know them, transition days, which is a time of extraordinary changes, happenings, and events. Again, it's about what kind of world are we leaving to the future generations, and that should be a very important question to ask. Everything is connected, and everything is numbered, and there's something more going on than meets the eye with the economy and everything else. Isaiah chapter 29, verse 9. Be stunned and amazed. Blind yourselves and be sightless. Be drunk, but not from wine. Stagger, but not from beer. 10. The Lord has brought over you a deep sleep. He has sealed your eyes, the prophets. He has covered your heads, the seers. 11. For you, this whole vision is nothing but words, sealed in a scroll. And if you give the scroll to someone who can read, and say to him, "Read this, please," he will answer, "I can't, it is sealed." 12. Or, if you give the scroll to someone who cannot read, and say, "Read this, please," he will answer, "I don't know how to read." 13. The Lord says, "These people come near to me with their mouth, and honor me with their lips, but their hearts are far from me. Their worship of me is made up of only rules taught by humans." 14. Therefore, once more will I astound these people with wonder upon wonder. The wisdom of the wise will perish. The intelligence of the intelligent will vanish. 15. Woe to those who go to great depths to hide their plans from the Lord, who do their work in darkness and think, "Who sees us? Who will know?" 16. You turn things upside down, as if the potter were thought to be like the clay. Shall what is formed say to him who formed it, "He did not make me"? Can the pot say of the potter, "He knows nothing"? Mark chapter 7, verse 5. So the Pharisees and teachers of the law asked Jesus, "Why don't your disciples live according to the tradition of the elders, instead of eating their food with unclean hands?" 6. He replied, "Isaiah was right when he prophesied about you hypocrites. As it is written, 'These people honor me with their lips, but their hearts are far from me. They worship me in vain. Their teachings are but rules taught by humans.'" 8. You have let go of the commands of God and are holding on to the traditions of men. Revelation chapter 10, verse 4. And when the 7 thunders had uttered their voices, I was about to write, and I heard a voice from heaven saying unto me, "Seal up those things which the 7 thunders uttered, and write them not." 5. And the angel which I saw stand upon the sea and upon the earth lifted up his hand to heaven. 6. And swore by him that lives forever and ever, who created heaven and the things that therein are, and the earth and the things that therein are, and the sea and the things which are therein, that there should be time no longer. 7. But in the days of the voice of the 7th angel, when he shall begin to sound, the mystery of God should be finished, as he has declared to his servants the prophets. Yes, it's time for the spiritual and physical manifestation of the book of Revelation, and all these are more signs.